Hey guys, my name is Donnie and welcome back to the channel. In the last couple of videos I've been working on this Jaguar and you guys are also enjoying this series as much as I am. I've been humbled by all the positive comments and feedback that you guys have been giving me, but there was a couple of suggestions, especially in the last video, about this car, and it's something that's been in the back of my head for quite some time. But I'm super excited to tell you guys that we are shifting gears. We're taking this build up a notch and I cannot wait to tell you all about it. Nice. Right guys, here's what the Jaguar looks like at the moment. I've now moved the engine forward in the last couple of videos and I've started with the aluminium work at the bottom that's gonna replace the bottom part of that fiberglass shell. And like I said in the last video, I am now in a position where I would have started putting that shell on top of this body, on top of this chassis, and fitting it and working from there. But guys, we have decided that we will no longer be building a fiberglass replica of a Jaguar. No. We will be replacing these fiberglass pieces with aluminium. It is quite a scary and daunting idea, but I think if I can pull it off, this is going to be a gem of a car. This is just the way that it's supposed to be. It's a bit scary, but I think I'll be able to do it. So guys, now that things have changed and I'm no longer using the fiberglass for this car, the next thing for me to do to fabricate this body is to start making what is called a buck. Now there's a couple of ways a buck is made. One is with steel rods, like I did for the fenders on that Messerschmitt in the video that I did. The other way is also by using plyboard and making a set of ribs out of that wood, more or less the same way that I did when I built the Bugatti. But I've decided that I will be for this car try something new, and it's something that I haven't seen done. I cannot think that it hasn't been done before, but I couldn't find any information on it. But I'm going to be using that shell as the buck. So I'm going to be forming the aluminium around that shell and then taking it off and putting it on top of this car. So what I'm going to do is I've bought many pieces of plyboard wood and I'm going to be reinforcing that shell with the plyboard, and then I'm going to use my English wheel and a process called hammer forming and some other processes also, and I'm going to start making aluminium panels and putting it on top of this one, laying it on top of this one, and when everything is done I can weld it all together and take off that aluminium and put it on top of this chassis. So let's get cracking. Oh crap guys, I think I forgot to press the record button, but nothing serious. I just cut off these sides now with my circular saw, and this is where the body would have been more or less for me to start fitting it on top of the car. I've also noticed now that I did all the measurements and stuff that this body is rather skew, so there would have been a lot of work that needed to be done on this fiberglass as well before I could have fitted finally. But I'm just going to use this as a template now, and I'm going to start with making the wooden frame to fit this on top of and reinforcing it with the wood so that I can use this as the buck. So let's get going. Okay guys, we are almost done now. I have finished making these bucks and I've cross-braced them with some wood just to make sure that they are as sturdy as I possibly could get them. And I have now placed the fiberglass shells on top and I've screwed them into place and gotten them as close as I could to straight. It is not 100% straight because it is a fiberglass body and it is to expect it that it would have started sagging a little bit. So I did pull it and shape it as best I could. And it is good enough now for me to start making an aluminium body. On top of that, I'm not going to be using this fiberglass as an absolute, but I will be cross-referencing between left and right when I make the product. But I think it's good enough now for me to use as a buck. What I need to do now is I need to bond this fiberglass to the wood as strongly as I possibly can, because I will probably be using a hammer and a doiling from time to time to shape on top of this shell or buck. And what I'm going to be using is this Sikaflex, which is a polyurethane based glue, and some say that is the stuff that they use to keep the Leaning Tower of Pisa from toppling over. And another guy also told me that if I'm not careful, I could pull the moon from its orbit with that stuff, and I believe him because he's trustworthy. So I think this will be good enough for my application. I just need to figure out how to get that in there without bonding myself to the car and becoming one with it. Anyway guys, let's get going. Cool guys, clean shop, clean mind. That's what I always say. Oops. Anyway guys, I'm done with this week's work. I think we will be ready to start doing some aluminium body panels, or making some aluminium body panels. I just want to wait for that Sikaflex to dry, and then in the next video we can start seeing if we can make some aluminium panels for this car. I think that's going to be super exciting. So guys, I just want to show to those of you who requested or asked how I was going to bond this fiberglass or fix this fiberglass body to this aluminium body chassis. I would have done it more or less the same way as I'm going to do with the aluminium. Where I cut it off here, I was just going to fiberglass a piece of fiber, a strip on the inside of this body that I would then be able to use screws to screw onto this existing part of the chassis. So I would not have been gluing this fiberglass body on top of this car. Maybe just use some glue on that firewall or something like that. But apart from that, I would have definitely been rather screwing it onto this chassis. But that's more or less the way I'm going to be doing it with the aluminium, just for you guys that wanted to know about that. But in any case, there's some exciting stuff happening at my shop at the moment. And thank you guys for joining me once again. I'll see you next week. Cheers!